Because it's New York. How's that go? That's
I don't know. That's a good one though.
That
Yeah.
didn't find you. Hi, everybody. My name is Arusha, and coming to you from Push, a Cure fan documentary. And I have my buddy Andy. Andy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Andy Carrion, better known in the Cure fan community as Andy the Cure fan, as if that's not vague enough, you know? Everybody's a Cure fan.
Yeah, I know. Do your coworkers know you as Andy the Cure fan?
I think so by now. I think it's weird because I feel like we go into hibernation when there's nothing going on. It's like every 4 years, I'm like, now everybody's like, oh man, are they touring again? What's happening? So it's yeah, now is that time where the excitement level is just so high. I'm trying to do my work in the office, and then I'm like, oh, this happened. I mean, I was like that during the European tour. I didn't get to go to any, but I'm like refreshing. This made the set list, or oh, they're playing this one, or all the people that went live on Instagram. I mean, it was second to being there, you know?
Oh, totally. It's so hard to explain. I have to change my glasses because my eyes are so fucked up. Um, they are. It's like if I'm this close, then it's different. But if I'm this close, it's so hard to explain to people who aren't passionate about the Cure, like
Yeah,
how sucked in you get and why. It's like it's not just the music. I mean, it's the music at the core, right? And then it's the live experience, and then it's your life and these fans and the people and
hmm
and of course we don't want to spend today talking about the torture that we're all going through right now, but that is part of it too. It's just like it's so much love, and with love comes struggle.
yeah, totally, totally.
So speaking of struggle, how I'd like to run today's chat. Oh, I have to see if anyone, I have to go down to this chat area and see if anybody's actually gonna chime in, but they may not. What I want to do first is I'm going to talk very generally about logistics, and then Andy, feel
hmm
free to interrupt me, ask me a question. Um, so I'm going to go through that, and then we can get to some like funner stuff.
hmm
And if anyone is tuning in, which right now, oh, there's David Moyer. Hey, David. If anyone has a question, hi, Bianca, then put it in the chat. I have no idea if I'll see it or not. But the first thing I want to do is I'm going to talk about where New York is, because
hmm
New York is a beast. Like New York, you got to think about when you're coming here. Like for anybody who's never been to the United States of America at all, like where Andy lives and where I live are like in some ways completely different countries, but in other ways they're very similar in mindset. So New York is like this, you have to remember that millions of people from all around the world, what's that weird noise?
That's that would be my kid's iPad. Okay, give me 1 second, but keep talking about New
Okay, I'm
York.
going to keep talking. What's his name again?
Dante, sorry.
Dante. We love you, Dante, but it's creating weird feedback. Okay, so New York is like this place, and I really think it's important to remember this. This is literally a place where people from all over the world try to come to survive for whatever reason. Millionaires, broke people, somebody from, some country that you and I are too ignorant to even know about. So the result is this sometimes very intense place where people are like cutting you off and they're like, yeah, what do you want? And so nobody speaks English and you're just asking a question and you're like, oh my God, why are you so rude to me? But if you remember that New York is truly a melting pot, that none of the rudeness is at all personal, and that in fact, New Yorkers want you to have a good day. They want you to feel good. They're just so exhausted. And they're just trying to get by. Like most people are just trying to get by. They're like, what? Yeah. So, and then you'll notice that they'll be rude to you like that. Like sometimes how I am and how maybe some people think I
Maybe like a
come.
little snappy or something, right?
Totally. Like whereas in California they're like, hey man, you know, a little bit more
Yeah.
chill.
I wanted to add more to what you just said about a melting pot and whatnot, because you know I'm in Los Angeles, right? So we're right next to the border of Mexico, Southern California. We have a lot of Mexicans, Hispanics, you know, anything like that. So like I feel like Spanish and English are probably the primary languages here. But I mean, New York, I mean, you guys are next to the Atlantic. I mean, you guys are close to Europe. I mean, it could be anybody. It could be Russian. It could be, you know, English, Scottish. Well, that's English too, right? They don't have, but either way, you know what I'm saying is that I feel like there's probably a more diverse type of people, or you know, from different parts of the world coming to New York. I mean, look at what the Statue of Liberty represents, right?
Yeah,
You
no,
know, Ellis
totally.
Island, yeah.
Totally. So I'm gonna actually I'm gonna reverse my phone and just talk about very, very basic logistics of when you land. So just be aware that like any point in time, if you come to New York and you get overwhelmed and like somebody's not speaking English, somebody's eye rolling, this is a place of 20, you might as well think of it as 20 countries. So the main thing about New York, I'm backing up even more because this, so this is Manhattan Island, okay? Manhattan Island, and I know, Andy, you can't see it very well, but maybe you can look on your cheat screen. Do you have one of your cheat screens?
I don't, but it's fine. I trust you. I have an idea of what New York looks like.
Okay, so it's a giant rectangle. It's something like 3 miles by 11, all right? Now, over here to the right is Brooklyn, and Queens, which looks like a giant messy blob because it is a giant messy blob. It's so big and overwhelming that...
Brooklyn, is that where we were at Rock Hall?
No, Rock Hall, oh yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Okay, I
Yes.
don't really know New York the way you do, obviously.
Yes, that's a great point. So we're gonna hone into Madison Square Garden, which is on 34th, 34th and 8th Avenue, okay? And then we're gonna say, okay, so forget about where you're staying or what you're doing, but how is anybody getting here? They're gonna come into one of three airports. They're either gonna come in from JFK, which is all the way over here in Queens, LGA, which is all the way over here, LaGuardia, which is also in Queens, or they're going to come in from New Jersey, which I'm such a New York...
Newark, right?
Yeah, EUR, and I'm such a snob, I don't even have it listed. Just kidding. So I've been asked, how do you get from the airport to Manhattan? Because most people are probably going to stay somewhere around the thing, right? So what you want to do is, I'm going to go back to selfie. So the most efficient way to get from any airport to your destination is to take a cab. It's not cheap. And at every airport, once you walk out of your thing and you go through customs or you get your bags, you want to look for signs that say public transportation, and you want to look for signs that say taxi. And the way that New York is, this is like the first run-in you're going to have with fucking crazy, like, oh my God, it's so busy and crazy. They have these lines that taxi drivers queue up to. So if you find the taxi line, which you will if you're just patient and take a breath, it's all at each airport. You get in line, some guy goes, next! And then they say, where are you going? And you say, I'm going to wherever. You have to know where you're going. And they say, okay, get in this cab. That is the most efficient way to get from any of the three airports. That said, if you are a thrifty person, there's other ways to do it. Like, for example, from JFK, you can take the A train, the A subway, and you can go all the way into the city. It'll take you all the way. Actually, the A train will take you all the way in to 34th, like by Madison Square. Oh my God, why is my phone ringing right now? Go away.
I wanted to chime in. When I went to Rock Hall, I actually did take the A train because I do like to be a little bit thrifty. But I was really happy I did. Not that I knew that it was called the A train, but I took a jazz history class in college, which is like now, what, 10 plus years ago? And "Take the A Train" is a song by Duke Ellington, so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it is. I'm so sorry, you guys, that all this shit is happening. It's Carl Tapia trying. Can somebody tell Carl Tapia that I'm online? I love you, Carl. Anyway, so that's cool. So you took the A train and it took how long?
You know what? I couldn't remember. I was just so excited to get there, but it wasn't too bad. But I mean, I've gone to New York when I was 18 years old, and I flew into New York. And I mean, this is back when iPhone was probably not even out yet. That was like 2006. I think it came out the following year. I
Mm-hmm.
must have map quested or something, but I literally flew into Newark. I took a train and I ended up in New York, and I think it took like about a half an hour. And I went to the Roseland Ballroom, I want to say, for a
Yeah.
MTVU award show. I
Yeah.
was in New York for like 18 hours or maybe 20 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah. So okay, so that's all I want to say right now about the how the hell do you get there? But it's just good to remember like these blobs. There's Manhattan, and again there's a blob, and then the New Jersey is much cleaner over here. I live over in Brooklyn, which is of course the coolest part because I'm a snob. No, and
Do you know if there's Ubers at the airport? Because you mentioned taxis, but like, do they have a ban on Uber can't pick up or anything like that?
you can take an Uber.
Okay.
You can take an Uber. I just I take a cab because I don't know. I'm a New Yorker, but yeah, you can take a Lyft. You can take an Uber. You can probably take a fucking pigeon. You know what I mean? There's like the other thing you have to remember about New York is that it's open 24/7. So
Hmm.
there's always something. You need to have your phone charged. You need to have your apps ready. So the next thing I want to talk about is I want to say people have asked like how the hell do you take the subway? So so here's a basic subway map. And again, I know Andy, you're not going to be able to see it, but I believe that anybody who's staying here for more than 24 hours absolutely needs to not be afraid of the subway. And what you're going to do is you're going to go into the subway and you're going to buy yourself a Metro card. And the way that the Metro card works is you can fill it up either as you can buy a weekly pass, which is like $33 or $40 or something, and then you can just whiz all week long and you don't need to worry about it. Or you can put an amount on the subway card, and then it's $2.75 per swipe. So again, that's for the thrifty people. That's going to depend on number one, your stress levels of like, are you actually going to take the subway, or are you going to get into cabs? And I don't recommend doing a lot of cabbing because it's going to be $5 million.
Based on what you're saying, is it like 100% that you should not rent a car if you're flying into New York?
Absolutely not rent a car. Do not. There is okay, back to selfie. There is no reason to rent a car because, like, you tell me, why would you want to rent a car?
I just, when I travel, I think, it's good to have a car rental. I travel for work sometimes. I got to visit a customer, do whatever. But no, New York seems very, in a way, overpopulated to the point where your buildings go up because you're running out of room. So I don't know. So it's just a valid question.
No, it is a valid question. Somebody says, don't forget the M60 bus from LaGuardia to 125th Street and vice versa. Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, so I think that like the overall message from the getting from the airport to the city is that there's tons of ways to do it. And so again, it's a matter of like how much you want to explore, how thrifty you are. But Andy, with regard to a car, the reason why you don't want a car in New York City is because it's going to cost you actually more time, more money, and more stress. Because it's so different from LA. Like for those who've been to neither place, LA, you have to have a car. I mean, you can not have a car, but you kind of have to have a car. But in New York, it's completely It's so easy to get around with the subway.
How safe would you say it is to be in a subway? You just landed, you have like your luggage and a backpack. I mean, some of the subways over here or the trains over here in LA can be kind of ghetto depending on what line you're on. So, I
Hmm.
mean, you just have to always be vigilant and alert of your surroundings. I mean, is it the same way over there?
So, that's a really good question. And the whole question about safety in New York is, I would say, you're safe. Believe it or not, New York is actually one of the safest cities in the United States right now. I don't know why people are like, oh my God, it's the purge, and people are going crazy because, yes, there's crimes, yes, things happen, but what the number one thing, the number one crime that you have to be wary of here is somebody ripping you off, as far as like a cab driver taking you too long. You know what I mean? Like taking advantage of you because you seem
That's why
nervous.
I thought Uber might be a little more transparent on what the price is up front.
Yeah, I mean, not all. I mean, again, not all cab drivers do that because who the hell has the time? The thing about the New York mindset, you have to remember that nobody has time to do anything. But that
Right.
said, there are, of course, just like there are anywhere, assholes who try to take you for a ride.
Hey,
The
what's that movie? That movie where he's like trying to cross the street and then like a cab like almost runs him over. So I'm walking here. Is that New York?
I don't know. I don't
But
know.
we'll look it up later. Okay.
Yeah. So again, like safety in the subway. The subways are actually very safe, but you've got to think of the subway as a weird party that you don't. You're like, oh fuck, I gotta go to this. You know what? I gotta go to this. My uncle invited me to this party. I don't even want to go. And there's weird hours to the subway. So if you go on the subway at 5 or 6, any subway at 5 or 6 in the morning, you're going to be fine because that's all people going to work. 5, 6, 7 in the morning. 7, 8, 9 is rush hour. It's going to be hella crazy because everybody's really going to work. Like, when I say 5, 6, 7, that's early birds. Like I used to have to get up and go be on the train at like 4:30 in the morning or 5. So it's really sweet because everyone's just sleeping on the subway because they're so tired. Everyone's so tired. 7, 8, 9, then it gets to be like, oh my God, everybody's squishing in, and it's like the movies where you're like, oh, I don't know, and you're like, is somebody gonna grab my ass? Is somebody gonna grab my pocket? Um, I've lived here for 13 years, and that's never happened to me. But look, this is what I do. So I wear headphones because what you want to do is you want to be alert. But at this party, you want people to think that you don't give a fuck about anything or anybody. You have your phone, you have your thing, you have your book, and you're going to be aware of your surroundings. But when there's this thing that happens on subways, it's called Showtime, and I hate it. But these kids come on, they're like, it's showtime, folks. Ding, 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 ding. And they like do these dances and they're making money. Like they're just trying to make money off of subway people, mainly tourists. And so they're not harming anybody, but to me it's irritating. So, and they actually like do like flips and stuff, and it makes you feel like, oh my God, are you going to hit me in the face? But what I do is
Yeah.
I just ignore them and I do not move because they're smart. They're not going to hit me. Why would they want to hit me? They don't want to ruin their game, right? They want to make money.
So they're making money. They're not. It's not like some TikTok. I'm gonna film myself doing something stupid, is it?
It's a little bit of that. It's sort of like
Okay.
um, it's that game. It's like these people literally, they're usually kids. They get on
Hmm.
at like for 5 minutes, and it's usually like a lot of times it's between Brooklyn and Manhattan or New Jersey and Manhattan because you're going under the water, right? And so there's this time to be like, we're in New York, boop boop bop bop. Here I'm flipping around, and some tourists are like, oh, and they get excited and they give them money.
And the kids, yeah. We have something similar in LA. I mean, but it's more of like a hustle, people trying to work, people selling flowers, oranges, peanuts, people juggling. And it really depends on the demographic. And and the poverty level. So yeah, this seems a little bit different, but yeah, as long as you're aware that that could happen and hopefully don't feed into it.
Yeah, yeah. So Just Fanning says check with your hotel about shuttles and purchasing transfers. That's true too. There's still the old-fashioned, shuttle shares and whatnot. But going back to the subway, like don't be afraid of the subway. And I wanna get specific on what we're dealing with the subway lines. Okay, so you want to download a subway app. Let's see if I can. Weirdly, the subway apps for New York are kind of lame. So let me see if I can actually.
I mean, I just use Google Maps or Apple Maps, and I had no problem. I'm not saying that another dedicated app wouldn't help, but the times I've been there, I haven't struggled.
Yeah, Google Maps is my favorite. I think it's more efficient than Apple, and it's good to do like arrival times. But you see on this, it says map of New York subway offline, map of New York subway MTA. I would download those maps because then it looks like this, and you just orient yourself to where the hell you are. So for Madison Square Garden, it's on 34th and 8th, which is by the way, this is important. Madison Square Garden is by Penn Station, which if you want to talk about dangerous and ugly and annoying, Penn Station is dangerous, ugly, and annoying. It's not the purge. You're not going to get your throat cut. But this ironically, like, because it's a big arena, this area sucks. Like it's to me, like I hate it. And if you were to go over here from Madison Square Garden over to the Hudson Yards, there's this sort of fancy now, and there's this jig, but this is sort of sketch. And why is it sketch? It's because it's by the highway that takes you to New Jersey. Okay? So the trains that take you to Madison Square Garden are the 1, 2, 3, the ACE. Both of those do. But the most important, I would say the mothership of all subway lines is the L train. Mm. So the L train, what the L train does is it runs through Manhattan onto 14th Street and it goes over to Brooklyn. And we'll get to that in a minute. But orienting yourself again to where the hell you are. So you've made it to your hotel, wherever that is. And we'll get to like where you should stay and not stay in a minute. Look at this. This is really important. Let me see. Yellow cabs. I'm just trying to meter running, but show times get really annoying. Okay, car rental is nuts. Yeah, don't rent a car. Don't rent a car. Seriously. So okay, so here's Madison Square Garden. Andy, do you have your hotel booked yet?
I do.
Where is it?
I would have to find that information. My girlfriend might have it, but I do know we booked it. When we booked flights and hotels before we even knew that the whole process with tickets would be like this, so we just kind of lucked out on a whim. I couldn't tell you exactly where we're staying, though. I'm sorry.
You're fired.
You didn't tell me to have that ready. But I did notice that a lot of the hotels were hostels or like shared bathrooms, and that's not something that's common over here. Is it over there? I'm assuming it is.
I mean, again, so New York is such a giant melting pot of so many different options that there's no rules. But what I am going to say is this. So here's 34th Street. So again, this is Madison Square Garden where the concert is. Okay? This area sucks. And it sucks in the way that, like, Andy, I would say, like, I don't know. I mean, maybe downtown LA is different now, but you know how there's some areas that are just dumb and you don't want to hang out in them? And in London, you don't really want to hang out by Big Ben. You want to go to, like, Camden. You want to go to wherever. It's like...
No, I agree. And I was wondering, because Madison Square Garden is so iconic as a venue, and it's so weird for you to say that the surrounding area is bad, but then I'm comparing it to, we now have a football stadium for the LA Rams, SoFi Stadium, that holds 70,000 people. Taylor Swift's playing 5 nights, sold out. The Kia Forum, which was formerly the Great Western and Chase Forum, those are all in Inglewood. Like, I would not recommend those areas to hang out with. And what sucks is that based on the venue, you're going to get a lot of traffic and flow of people, but it doesn't necessarily make it the safest area. So
Well,
I kind of feel that.
well, so I'm glad you mentioned Inglewood because it's definitely safer than Inglewood. It's just ugly. So here's, and then like I said, if you go, so here's north, east, south, west. So if you go, you don't want to really go west here. And then I would say for like tourist things. So here's 34th Street. Everybody, listen to this. If you don't have if you have a very limited amount of time, don't go above 34th Street. Now, Martin Scorsese would be like, "Screw you, Arusha. Why are you saying that?" Because Martin Scorsese does not go below 57th Street. So the wealthy people live in this area up here by this is the upper west side and upper east side. Okay, so we have the middle. Think of this as like the stomach of New York, and it's kind of not. It's just not pretty. You know, it's the internal. It's so busy. It's so ugly. And then please do not waste your time in Times Square. Please do not, because I'll tell you what Times Square. Have you been to Times Square, Andy?
Yes,
So this is
but
what
briefly.
this is what Times Square is to me.
What are you clapping? What are you doing?
Well, I'm trying to just put light on the. This is all it is, literally. All you're doing is like putting yourself in some shitty, like, flashing TV screen. So don't waste your time on Times Square. What you want to do when you're in this is the stomach of New York, right? And this is the head and the brains, meaning like, you know, for better or for worse, the wealthy people live up there. And then even further up is Harlem. So if you're interested musically, you know, in Harlem can be really cool. But I would say for New York, like right now, for The Cure, it's just going to take a lot of time. Or you could go to Central Park, which is cool. But I would say for limited time, you want to go to the Sexy Legs. You want to go down. I'm serious, because look at this. So there's this grid, right? So here's 34th Street. So you want to get down to 14th Street or below, because where you want to spend time, in my humble opinion, and if anybody's still watching, West Village, Greenwich Village, Washington Square Park is a really cool place. What are you shaking your head at?
I used to think it was Greenwich.
Um,
I just
well, I mean, people pronounce it both, but I say Greenwich. I'm pretty sure it's Greenwich.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So Washington Square Park is really actually a lovely place if you're broke and you just want to like sit and take in what New York City is, because like if you take a look at the way that the streets are mapped out, like over here it's all a grid, and then they start to get kind of weird, like diagonal, and that's actually a good sign because there's more old New York and flavor. So and West Village is really great if you want to connect to your queer roots, pals. You want to feel in a very inclusive area. It's also just so fucking beautiful there. Greenwich Village is where like people like Dylan and so, they all wear like beatniks, and there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of Italian food. Washington Square Park is where you can sit and sort of enjoy the day. NoHo starts to get a little wealthy. Now East Village, this is punk rock. This is where all the punk stuff. East Village and where's Lower East Side? Lower East Side.
I found my hotel, by the way. When you have a chance, you can tell me if I screwed up.
I mean, it's fine. Where is it?
I'm staying at the Brooklyn, which is on 1199 Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn.
Oh my God, Andy, that's so far away. Okay.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Well,
my girlfriend has family that lives closer to there, How close is it to you though?
It's 5 million miles away, but so let's pause on that. Let's finish this
Okay.
little discussion about like Andy, what are some tourist places that you've thought about going to, just off the cuff?
I've never been to Central Park, and I know that's huge. So I don't know exactly what I expect to find in there aside from a bunch of trees, but I do want to go. I was going to ask you because I feel like preparing for New York, I've seen videos where people are like, "Well, don't go to the Empire State Building because they're gonna charge you to go up on the elevator when you could just go to like this nearby building and get the same view for free." So I kind of want to know like those kind of hacks and stuff, or what I should do.
Yeah, that's actually okay. Back to was there any other touristy things that that you've just even thought of at all?
Um, I mean, Ground Zero. I know that there's
Mm-hmm.
like a memorial there
Mm-hmm.
or a fountain. I mean, something like that, maybe even.
Okay, so here's three free things that you can do in New York City that are worth it, and you just named two of them. Central Park is giant and massive, so if and when you decide to go, just do a little research first because you could just walk in, like basically like you're way over here, but let's just forget about that for now. Like let's pretend you're somewhere near Madison Square Garden and you just take the subway, whoop, right up to Columbus Circle. And Columbus Circle is the very edge. This is where the Trump Tower is, by the way. So, so when you walk in here, Central Park, you could spend a whole day in. There's 5 million things to do there. It's really beautiful. People are talking about Flacco the owl. Yeah, Flacco the owl, I think, is up here. So Central Park is really beautiful, but take a minute like on your downtime to research like why do you want to go there and what do you want to see? Because like up here is hella different than down here.
Hmm.
And again, it's a time suck, and you got to remember that like you're getting into the subway, off the subway, into the cab, out of the cab. You're hungry, you didn't find food, somebody has to go to the bathroom. Some fucking like showtime on the subway is eating up all your day. So, but that's a great thing and it's free. The second great thing that's free is down in the legs in Sexy Town is okay, well, so here's Washington Square Park. That's free, which is cool, just to go sit. If anybody's able-bodied and they can walk around. Oh, somebody says saw Patti Smith chilling in a bench in Washington Square Park. Exactly. 6th season beatnik history in the East Greenwich Village. Yep. So you'll see it, you'll feel it, like right around here, because this is anytime there's a protest that starts, like when all the Black Lives Matter things started, a lot of them started here, and we'd march up there, and a lot of like the socialist movement stuff starts here, Greenwich Village. Little Italy, if anyone is into, really into Italian stuff, that is cute. And then
Dude, I don't know where anything is. What about like Coney Island? Where does this fall on the map?
oh, child, wait a minute. That's over in Brooklyn. We're just getting, hold on. So
I don't know anything. Sorry. Okay.
no, 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 no. It's interesting. It's interesting to me. I'm very excited that you're asking these questions. So here's Little Italy, which is just, again, if anyone's interested in the Italians. And then, so down, then,
Is there mobsters? Like the movies? The Godfather or anything?
well, there's mobsters everywhere, but they're,
I'm just asking, right?
no, but I mean, seriously, like, there's mobsters everywhere. They're not like all, I don't know where they hang out, but Strawberry Fields, Natural History Museum in Dakota. Oh yeah, the Natural History Museum in Central Park. But okay, so look down here. Let's call this the ankle, the left ankle. So here's the World Trade Center. You don't need to go into the World Trade Center and pay. You can just go, outside and walk around, and it's so beautiful and touching and amazing. Now, if you decide to go all the way down here, which again is at the very end of the island, how are you going to get there? You're going to take the subway. You're just going to look, you're going to use your Google Maps and you're going to say, take me to World Trade Center, and there's like 5 million subways that get there. It's really beautiful. And then if you walk over here, There's a Museum of Jewish Heritage. So this map sucks as far as Lady Liberty, but Lady Liberty is floating somewhere around here, okay? And I would say for Cure fans visiting, unless you're like completely obsessed with the Statue of Liberty, do not go up and pay for the Statue of Liberty. Just look at it, look at her beauty from here. There's plenty of places to walk around and just look at it, take photos, take your selfies, but don't go over here. It's so exhausting. It's exhausting. And that, Andy, goes back up to like the things like the Empire State Building. I don't even remember where it is. The tallest building in the world or whatever. Fuck all that. Because that friend that you talked about is right. There's tourists, again, like what's the, God, my orientation here. The thing that you need to worry about in New York is not that you're going to get murdered. Okay? I mean, if you're hammered drunk, right, at 4 in the morning and you're like, oh, where's my map? Woo! Then maybe somebody's going to take advantage of you. But it's
I'll
not
make sure not to get that way, okay? And if you see me that way, thank you.
Yeah, no, really, that is a thing. You don't want to be drunk and in anything, because even cab drivers will be like, screw you, you're drunk, you're out of my cab. Like, because again, you got to think like a New Yorker. Nobody has any time. Everyone's stressed out. They love the city. And you'll see people like, you'll be like, I wanna, and they'll be like, you want a pizza? And they'll start cut you off. But it's just for the sake of time. And then they'll be like, have a nice day. So there are cheats. So one of the cheats, I think what I'm going to need to do, Andy, is make a cheat sheet when we're not live.
Right.
Of things like there is a hotel over in Brooklyn where it has an amazing view of the city and it's free.
That's cool. Yeah.
Um,
So do you want to actually talk about the band, or are we just going to keep talking about New York? I'm cool either way, but I'm just excited about the band.
Well, I mean, I really did want to keep this about answering some New York questions, so we can talk about The Cure in a second. But another question somebody had is is masks. People are still wearing masks here. So
I think as long as, like, even over here, they're not required, but if it makes you feel comfortable, then yeah, do whatever you feel. And if somebody gives you shit for it, they're just being an asshole.
yeah, so just remember, like, yeah, it is exactly as you said. Like, New Yorkers, we were hit so hard. I mean, we had morgue trucks, and Central Park was filled with mass graves.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was a ship docked over here that was literally just for COVID. So some of us, some people don't give a shit, but, it's still a little bit of PTSD here, and COVID is still happening. So, free to stay in that hotel in Brooklyn. Oh boy, I wish. It's extremely, I think it's called the Wyeth. I have to look it up. I'll put it in the notes over over there. I know we want to talk about The Cure, but let's hold on, because we want to get some. So again, the L train. By the way, there's an app that you can Google, is the L train running? And it'll tell you if the L train running, because the L train.
Yeah, you said that it's like the city never sleeps type thing, or always awake 24/7. How is the subway? Is it and at a certain time, or is it always running too?
New York City subways run 24 hours a day.
That's amazing. It should be like this over here.
So the thing with that is that so now when we're talking about safety. So the L train, which is my favorite because it gets you to the northern part of Brooklyn, is like, as far as safety, it's hella safe. It is so safe. The only thing you're going to run into on the L train is drunk 20-year-olds. So you might see somebody throw up at like 3 in the morning on the L train, which is irritating. But the A train and the C train at night, I mean, I'm talking like 3 in the morning. They're not, you do want to have your wits about you. And so if you're staying at Atlantic, you probably will be, let's see, you're going to be taking Atlantic Station. Fuck, where is it?
Well, we planned on taking a train to Madison Square Garden, the area, and we were probably going to take an Uber back, knowing that it was going to cost us a little more, but at least it's late. We're going to be safer. You know, at least that's what we feel.
Right. So, fuck, where is it? So J Street Metro Tech. So, you know, Brooklyn's like a giant, it's literally like the biggest, it's like another world. So it's not Prospect Park, Fulton. I think this is Atlantic. Why? Oh, here, Atlantic Barclays. So from Madison Square Garden, you can take a bunch of trains basically, and it's a huge stop. This area actually, Andy, is not that safe.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's not that safe. Just Fanning says, if you've never been to New York City and you have time, you'll want to see the tourist spots. Look into City Pass. But it depends on your time. I'm an older female, travel everywhere alone, and I have no issues. I just say, I'm begging people, do not go to Times Square. There is nothing to see at Times Square.
Yeah, but you could take a photo there. You'd be like, oh, look at me, I'm in Times Square. Look at all the billboards. I'm saying somebody's going to feel that way. So you could tell them how you feel about it.
You could, but I'm just, it's just like, you could take a picture in front of a Prada store in Miami and say that you're in Times Square. Like, it's so, I don't know. I just really feel strongly that it's a waste of time, and there's so much more beauty in New York for the limited time that you have. But you do you. I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
What about people that don't have tickets to the shows, or maybe only have tickets to one night? I'm not saying that Broadway runs season long. I mean, is it worth going and looking into like another show like that or something? What do you think?
Well, so then we're entering into the realm of like the bazillion different theater art galleries. I mean, there's so many things to do, and I think we're going to have to save that for tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. So Pharaoh Chin says you can get a great view of the city by going up to the elevator in Time Warner Building at the Free Jazz Museum. That's a great idea.
Ooh.
It's in Columbus Circle, which is, again, right up the edge of
Central Park?
Central Park, and overlooks Central Park skyscrapers and such.
I'm going to write that down. What do you say, Jazz Museum?
You can get a great view of the city for free by going up the elevator in the Time Warner Building at the Free Jazz Museum.
Awesome. I was totally talking about jazz when we talked about the A train, so cool.
Times Square is lousy, but you can see a Broadway show, I guess. It's just, yeah, like if you want to go see a Broadway show, then go see a Broadway show. But I'm saying if you're going to waste, literally, like walking in Times Square, it is, you know what it's like? It's like walking into it when you're exiting a concert hall. It's just so packed. It's so annoying. It's so much more beautiful to be down here or go up to Central Park. Anyway, so let's go over to Brooklyn. So the way that I go over to Brooklyn is I take the L off of 14th Street, which Union Square is another like central point. There's bookstores here. There's movie theaters here, da-da-da. So I take the L train and it goes, and it goes over to Greenpoint, which the hotel I'm talking about, which I'll put in the thing, is over here. I forget where it is. And this, by the way, all the shoreline on this side of Brooklyn overlooking New York is fucking beautiful. Like, for example, another incredible thing, which Andy, you should write down, is this is the Manhattan Bridge, and this is the Brooklyn Bridge. And I highly recommend that every single person who's able-bodied walk across the Brooklyn Bridge.
Don't laugh at me. Is that the Hudson?
This is, so the way that this is the East River here, and this is the Hudson River.
Oh, okay.
So the other thing you guys, everybody's got to know about New Yorkers is because you know you're like, don't laugh at me. Oh, hi Ben.
That's where you go. How
Ben,
you been?
how you been, Ben? So Pharaoh, so this Pharaoh guy, he's like a double seven. He's like a double o seven spy. He has like all these talents that it's incredible. I'm so glad that we connected. And he used to be a tour guide in New York, and I hope I'm not blowing your cover. Anyway, hi Monique, Monique from Cleveland. I'm coming to Cleveland, girl. I'm gonna be in the lawn.
Hey, you're still there.
I know, but we're trying to get to Chicago and Detroit, and we don't have tickets either. But anyway, okay, so let's go back. So write this down, Andy, and we can talk about it later. And this really, like, anybody who wants to experience, like, I'm in New York, I'm a New Yorker. Walking across this Brooklyn Bridge is just, it's so beautiful on a sunny day. And speaking briefly about weather, it's going to be hot and muggy and stupid. And with climate change, who knows? But just be ready for it to be really hot.
Yeah, I'm glad you suggested walking it because I'm not much of an active person like I should be. But when I was in Sydney for the disintegration shows, me and my girlfriend walked 8 miles. I wouldn't do that here. My car would have to be broken down, and even then, I probably would have found another way. So yeah, walking Brooklyn Bridge sounds awesome.
Yeah, like again, if you're able-bodied and you can walk around, then New York is there's so many opportunities. But then if you're not able-bodied, there's ways like Tink shared. There's definitely like trams you can take and buses and things that you can sit and like look like double deckers or something like that. So this area over in Brooklyn, this is called DUMBO, which means like down under Manhattan Brooklyn Bridge. DUMBO, down under Manhattan Brooklyn Bridge. And I cannot emphasize to you guys how fucking beautiful the view is from right here. Brooklyn Bridge Park. This is all like, there's a ferry. You could actually take ferries over that's another fun thing you could do. You could take ferries from Manhattan over to Brooklyn. But this view is so beautiful. And there used to be free concerts here at South Street Seaport, which again, this view over to Brooklyn is beautiful. All right, so let's go back up to the blob of Brooklyn. So for the sake of time, not only in this broadcast, Arusha, Arusha, I'll write up a little Cure Fan Essential New York Site Guide. You can, okay, yeah, great, that would be helpful. Anybody reading this, like I'll try to compile tidbits for everybody. But you take the L train over and you have Greenpoint, which is very Polish, which is interesting. And then it goes into Williamsburg. And Williamsburg is the hipster capital. Like think about the Yeah Yeahs and Interpol and that whole like DFA. There was this connection. Somebody from New York is going to yell at me and curse me out, but it was
Awesome.
it was all Wilburg and East Village. It's Wilburg and East Village, and then the hipsters migrated over closer to Bushwick and Ridgewood. This is where I live, which I absolutely love. So here's the thing, like if you don't know a New Yorker, you're not going to know that one of the best clubs and bars to go to is this place called TVI that's way over here. Okay?
Is that where DJ Rubella used to spin?
I wish. There's a goth club called Talon Bar. Oh yeah, and there's a goth party called the Red Party, which happens over, of course, in the Lower East Side. I saw
a place called Pyramid or something like that. Was goth? Yeah.
Yeah, Pyramid's over here. It's we can talk about it. It's a legendary club. But all the like punk rock goth stuff is here or here, very broadly speaking. So this is northern Brooklyn, right? Look at this big giant blob, which is so overwhelming. Okay, this whole thing, this is Brooklyn. So you, Andy, let's see where you are. So here's Bushwick, Bedford Stuyvesant, Park Slope. So, oh, Prospect Park. You're at Atlantic here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit above Prospect Park, top right of that.
Yeah, but it's not a
Yeah.
little. This whole area is massive, and this area is not. It is absolutely not great at night. So you asked about where Coney Island is. Check this out. From where you are,
Okay.
it's somewhere down here.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
here.
I'm good.
Here's Coney Island. So it's gonna take you like a day. Like it's a commitment. If you want to go, go. But just like again, prep your time because basically, like if I was your tour guide, I would stick to this. Not you,
Right.
but I would stick to 14th Street and below. Maybe pop up to Central Park and check out that view, and then I'd go over to Northern Brooklyn. Now,
No, yeah, it's too massive. You're right.
it's huge. It's just, and then you're gonna get exhausted. And you're not gonna have the energy to deal with the beast that Madison Square Garden is. But we'll get to that. We'll close with like Cure stuff. So just again to orient people. So then Queens is the blob that goes over here. So do not stay in Elmhurst, Rego Park, Forest Hills, Jackson Heights. Absolutely no. No, don't do it. Maybe in Long Island City. It's just that it's too far away and it's going to take you too much time. What hotels do most celebrities stay in while in New York? Ooh, that's hard. I mean, there's so
The
many.
Waldorf Astoria, isn't that one in New York?
I mean, there's so many, and there's so many different, celebrities. I mean, there's just so many rankings of celebrities.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm thinking of Coming to America when he comes to New York and he's just, and then, yeah.
But and then the other thing is, so you're at Atlantic, which is over here, and here's Prospect Park. So this whole area too, like just don't go there. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just mostly residential. If you're into parks, there's Prospect Park, which is awesome, and by the way, the Bronx is way up there. And the beautiful botanical gardens are up in the Bronx, but it's so far. It's so far.
From where I'm staying, it says just to take the A train, so for like 30 minutes and some walks. It doesn't look like it's too bad, but you know the neighborhood's better, of course.
Which one are you talking about?
I'm staying at the Brooklyn on Atlantic, and it's saying just to take the A train to get to Madison Square Garden, and of course it's Penn Station, which you already mentioned.
No. It is for you 30 minutes. Yeah, exactly. Because you know why that is? Because the subways are so awesome. But here's the rub. Here's the mind fuck, Andy, is that I'm going to go back to selfie. So I have to do it this way. Sorry, stand by, team. I don't even know if I can do. I'm not that talented. I'm confusing myself. So, again, Madison Square Garden. Over here is Brooklyn. I'm up here in Ridgewood, and it'll take me 30 minutes to get to Madison Square Garden. You are here, which looks on this map to be smaller, but it's going to take 500 years for us to get to each other. It's like, I mean, maybe 30, 45 minutes, but it's just because because back in the day, Brooklyn was more dangerous and less populated, and it was more poor people. So the cities were like, we don't care about you poor people, so we're not going to put in subways. So there's only one subway line, the Green Line, which is so dumb, and people in New York complain about it all the time. This is the only artery that connects from north to south in Brooklyn, which is appalling. All right, so what do you want to talk about cure-wise?
I want to talk about the fact that it doesn't sound like you like Madison Square Garden. So if it were up to you, where would they play?
Well, yeah, so
They played the Beacon in 2011 for Inflections. They played Radio City Music Hall. for tour. I don't know. What else you got? I mean, Madison Square Garden is such an iconic venue. I mean, I want to visit it because I know of it. It was featured in Futurama as Madison Cube Garden, so just it's everywhere.
No, I know, and the thing is that so here's my history with going to concerts in Chelsea. Wait, what are you saying about Nova? What Chelsea's cool. Like Chelsea's just it's a cool place to be, and that's actually just south of Madison Square Garden. So again, like there is this little area, Chelsea, and in here in between 14th and Madison. But you don't want to stay in Midtown. Don't just forget Midtown. It doesn't just don't go there. I'm only talking about like time because it's so. Okay, so anyway, I'm going back to what your question. So my experience with New York concerts is the following. I used to live in San Francisco and I would come over here for gigs. The first Cure gig I saw in '92 was in Nassau Stadium, which is all the way out on the island, on Long Island. So you had to get a car to go there. Then I went to Irving Plaza, which was nuts because it was tiny and it was amazing in '97.
Was that '96? Okay, was that the Halloween show?
Yeah.
Cool.
And that was, I mean, they're just too popular. They can't play that stuff. And I went to Roseland, which was great. Again, too small for them. Where was the other place? Beacon is amazing, and I wish that they would do a residency. So there's places now that, I'm not a concert promoter, I'm not a manager, but oh, I see, Nova. You're saying the celebrities stay in Chelsea. Copy. As a neighborhood, though, not like a. Are you talking about a Chelsea hotel? Anyway, the Beacon is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and I did see Reflections there. I saw Nick Cave there, and so I wish they would do a residency there. I wish they would do a residency at this King's Theater, which is now divorced from Ticketmaster. King's Theater is interesting because it was closed for a bazillion years and it was like active in the 1919s or in the 20s and it shut down and they renovated it. And it's just profoundly beautiful. But it's only like 3,000 capacity, so the Cure would have to play like 10 nights in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Beacon 2600.
So the issue is that, which is good for them, that they, of course, can sell out Madison Square Garden. So why the hell, of course they're going to play Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
But when I first went to Madison Square Garden, it may have been after I moved here, and it was for the Cure. And I've seen a million Cure shows. And it was just so dry. It was so like
in the crowd, you mean?
I'm not talking about the band, so nobody go on a fucking like tirade. The band is great. I mean, like, they played wonderfully, but there's another side of, I love New York, but there's another, I'm interested, do you expect them to play more new songs on this tour?
I'm hoping for it.
I would think so, and I think they're going to go into their back catalog, but that might be good me wishing on a star. So look, Madison Square Garden is an appropriate place for the Cure to play because it's big. And it has a great sound. But one thing I don't get, like I guess Radiohead, when they play there, they clear the floor. So there's no seats on the floor, which I would be way more excited to see the Cure there if I could get that energy of the heat, right?
Yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs of that. And then, so Barclays, where we saw Rock Hall, right?
I like that place. That was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. But, I mean, think about the temperature of how, like, that was very grand and official, right? So it's just, to me, I don't want to, in New York, like, I don't want to go to Barclays or Madison Square Garden because the temperature also, like, there's plenty of other venues that we're not even talking about, like Terminal 5 or I don't even know, like venues that are too small for the Cure.
Yeah, the 9:30 Club. I mean, or is that Washington? That might be Washington. My bad. Just throwing stuff out there.
But the other thing about New York is that you have to remember that this city is built on fashion and money. So there's a history here. There's all kinds of people here, but there's a legacy of, to me, and this is just my opinion, there's a lot of posers here. There's people just posing. They're like, I'm in a Cure show. I'm going to take a selfie. I'm going to go see, Lady Gaga is at the Cure show and Nani Kaka is at the Cure show. Whereas, like, one of the things I love about Merriweather Post Pavilion in Washington, D.C. is it's just like this beautiful arena in D.C. and there's like no pretentiousness. Nobody important is going to be there. Like look at the Hollywood Bowl. The Hollywood Bowl in and of itself as a theater is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. But
I agree.
Me, Arusha, I don't need to see the Cure there ever again.
Okay.
Because it's boring. Because it's like, it's all about, Nani and Kaka is there and Chucha and, the CC and the Dudu, like all the fancy people are there. And to me, and it's fine. Those people deserve to see bands as much as the rest of us, But the
focus shouldn't be on them.
No. It's just, I'm a punk rock girl. I want to feel it. I want to fucking feel it. Like the times in '96 where Robert would play like forever and he was lost in thought. And then, or when Simon's like so mad about something or happy, but you can't tell the fucking difference. Or you're like, what is going on? I don't even know.
Oh,
but
reminds me of Vegas '09. Yeah.
But like, there's an energy there, right? There's something that you're like, you can feel it and you're like, holy shit. And like in Wembley in 2016, it happened. Like, I wasn't expecting anything from Wembley in 2016. And Wembley in and of itself is just like Madison Square Garden. It's just a stadium. No, but yeah, there's nosebleeds in MSG. It's just so big.
Oh, I'm there. Don't worry. Nosebleeds.
Well, Nova's asking, is MSG so big that certain sections are nosebleed, or is every seat I still have to find good? I mean, hey, Carl Palmer. I got myself in trouble the other day about telling somebody that they needed to find better seats at MSG.
Jeez.
Yeah, so all I meant by that was that, it's just like anywhere. It's just like I'm in the lawn in Cleveland, which, like you said, it's fine. I'm grateful. Yeah. But I'm also, like, I have the right to be bitchy about, like, I want to get closer because it's the Cure.
I want to chime in there. I don't mean to brag or anything like this, but I'm grateful to be going all 3 nights at Madison Square Garden, and I got them face value during the verified fan sale. But my thing is, I wanted to do more quantity, so I was okay backing away on the quality because, you know what, I want my money to stretch further. I could have blown exactly what I'm spending on all this, flights, hotels, all this travel, and gone front row for Hollywood Bowl. But that wouldn't have been enough for me. So I think there's a trade-off, and it's what you're willing to do. So when you say you're in the lawn, dude, that's awesome. You know how many people would love to be in the lawn and they can't get tickets right now? So I don't want to shit on that,
Oh, I'm not shitting on it. I mean, we have 6 people that we're all flying into Chicago. Yeah. And we're sharing a car, and we're going from Chicago to Cleveland and Detroit, and we have no tickets for Chicago or Detroit. And then my other friends...
Just keep trying.
No, I know, we're going to. And like I said, like, if I can't get in, I'm not kidding. I'm going to be outside, like, ooh, like...
Oh, definitely.
Because I don't want broken spirit. I want people to have the kind of experience that we can have as Cure fans, to be united and never be divided, and know that, like, yes, I'm bitching about the lawn, but it's like a half-hearted bitch. It's like, I burnt my eggs, you know? I wish I didn't burn my eggs this morning. You know, like it's not like I deserve.
Oh yeah, there's not a sense of entitlement. No, I just see what you're saying now.
It's just, you know, it is like some of the Europeans are like, why is there no floor seats? I mean, like pit. Because part of the excitement of being a Cure fan is like trying to get to the front and being in the pit. For some people.
I drink too much for that. But yes. Okay.
I saw the Cure at MSG from the 300s, and it's structured in a way, wait, what does that say? It's structured in a way where you don't feel as far as where you are. Section 200 seats okay. 200s are good. Okay. Lawn at Blossoms is horrible. Oh, isn't horrible. I am over the Hollywood Bowl, the traffic and parking alone, the madness, much less constant people talking and the endless beer runs. Right. So the other thing for me, like what you're saying about MSG, for you, Andy, because people are like, "Aren't you going to New York?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't want to think about it right now because I live in New York. So if I can't get into the concert, I can go home. I can go to the bar. I can chit chat with like the late people. It's not a big stress for me. But if I'm flying to Chicago, right, and doing that whole thing, it's much more stressful to be like, oh, cool, we have no tickets. And my money allotment, I didn't want to spend that money on MSG because I also know that here's another secret about MSG is it's very easy to get tickets at the last minute. Because New Yorkers are busy, things happen, things change, and there's just like at the very last minute things.
I'm glad you say that. One of my regrets is I was in Madison, New York for Madison Square Garden in 2006, and the Killers were touring. It was their Sam's Town tour, which is their second album. And I mean, I was 18. I didn't have that much cash, but I kind of wish that I had taken up the box office on tickets that night, and I didn't go. But yeah, so yeah, last minute stuff happens.
Absolutely. I think that's the same for any concert, to be honest with you. I mean, there was even in Europe, there were shows I was like, I don't have tickets, I'm going, I'm not going, I don't know, and then somebody always has a ticket. Like, there's always a way if you stay open-minded. So for me with Madison Square Garden, I have two primary focuses on this tour. Aside from seeing the Cure and whatever, is my homies that I've been traveling with for 30 years, who we all met on the sidewalk in 1996. You know, it's to be with those very specific people because they're my chosen family.
Right.
So part of the heartbreak of like when people are like, well, you know, like, frankly, I'm feeling a little judged by saying like I'm on the wait list or I couldn't get in. And it's because I want to see my chosen family. And I know this is all like, all of this is first world problems. Like we should be feeding people and, you know, volunteering in Hungary or whatever, but we also need joy. We also need love and community. And this is fellowship for me. So from Madison Square Garden, I want to go to Philly and I really want to go to Merriweather. Okay. Now, a friend of mine just got shit nosebleeds for Philly, so I'm in.
Philly's the Wells Fargo one?
Yeah.
Who's not participating in the real resale is what I saw. That sucks. Correct.
By the way, people are welcome at mine in Cleveland. Oh, that's awesome. As your tour guide, I used to take kids to Madison Square Garden for a tour. My group was flying out that day, and I was going to see The Cure that night. Oh, all the band's gear was on stage. That's so sweet. That's me outside of the bowl. Just fanning, you're going to be like, that's me in the corner. That's me in the spot. Light outside. You know what? I realized at the Hollywood Bowl in 2016, there's that little, there's like a picnic area up high, and you can actually see a lot. It's kind of cool. Anyway.
You can see the stage?
Well, I think from one side, but I actually saw the audience. I don't know. I felt like I could still get the vibe.
But you weren't inside, right?
I wasn't inside. I mean, I did go inside later, but when I was filming and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so Merriweather to me is like the absolute most special. I think, help me if I'm wrong. So Merriweather has a pit. Denver has a pit, and I don't know where else has a pit. Does anyone else know where there's a pit?
I wasn't looking for it, so I wouldn't know. But it is weird how some shows you want to just have that open floor and you don't see it. Like I went to go see My Chemical Romance, which was a big reunion tour last year, and everything was seated on the floor, the Kia Forum. And that's probably how Depeche Mode was just the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they choose that.
Okay, so like I saw Depeche Mode at Madison Square a few years ago, and I'm not going now, by the way, because I refuse to pay dynamic pricing. But I mean, again, like if you want, this is just me. This is just me, Arusha, talking. This is not a judgment on anybody. But I feel like Depeche Mode is sort of perfect for Madison Square Garden because they're so big. Like their presentation is like, wow, I'm Dave Gahan, and here's my cock, and like, you just fucking get it. And I'm Martin Gore, and I'm a creature, and poor Andy was like, and I'm sitting there holding it down, you motherfuckers, like, God. So everything with Depeche Mode, I love Depeche Mode, but they're so big, and they're so like, they have this like choreographed massive screen and all these stories. So when you're in Madison Square Garden and you don't see that well, it's fine because they're so out. They're like, wow. Whereas like sometimes with The Cure, the most intimate, precious moments are like when you can, like for me in the last tour, one of the best things was watching Robert during End Song, improvising and in changing End Song with Simon and with Reeves. So he started like, because I went to so many shows. And by the way, I'm not a millionaire. I just don't own a house. I don't own a car. I am in debt. I go into, I eat beans and rice. Like, I don't drink. Like, so again, stop judging me for going to see the fucking Cure. But it was so beautiful to like, I just was like, oh my God, like just watching him get so into his guitar in that moment. And when I'm far away, I can't feel that as much.
Yeah, that song connected with me a lot. My girlfriend was like, "Oh, they could have trimmed the intro," and I'm like, "But no, it's setting a mood. That music's just setting you up to the atmosphere." And like, no, that one really really hits. But I've been focusing a lot of the new songs, even though they've been around since October, December of last year. I think it's finally becoming real for me that it's coming here. So I'm really trying to do everything to, set up parties, whether it's, learn lyrics, whatever it may be. I'm really happy that we're going into this and it's coming up right around the corner.
Yeah, and we'll get to your parties too, by the way, in a second. But I want to say hi to I always butcher your name, Letizia, and The Cure. Somebody else is in here. Martin with his S&M. Yeah, it's so true. Dave Knoll says, I'm looking for Philly. They don't do resells, but flight booked. I again, keep looking, Dave. Just last minute stuff and whatever weird shenanigans Ticketmaster is playing. So somebody asked, are pits mainly based on state or venue liability? I'm not sure. A friend of mine who knows about this stuff says it depends on the artist. Like, for example, in Madison Square Garden, like Radiohead requested, but I don't really know.
Going back to Madison Square Garden and just New York, trying to tie it back together. Obviously, they've got 3 shows at Madison Square Garden, all sold out. I wanted to compare it to the 4 tour in 2008, where they did a Madison Square Garden show, and the next day they did Radio City. So it's not to say that they're going to add a 4th show. I highly doubt that, but I feel they could have split it up a little bit more, kind of like they did that tour, just so you would have had like the hardcore crowd, which is more intimate, than you would have had like the more mainstream crowd be the bigger venue. I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day, but that would have been cool.
Yeah, I just think they're, you know, in 2007, they're so popular now. They're more popular. I mean, in some ways, I think than, I mean, I don't know. I still feel like 89 was their peak in 92, and now there's, which is great. Like, it's amazing for that so many people are finally like waking up to how amazing the Cure are.
It's like I've been trying to tell you this whole time. You
I
know?
know, we've been trying to tell you, man. Why don't you listen, bro?
Um, Going back to the Ford tour in New York, I am highly jealous. My favorite song is "The Big Hand." It's only been played 11 times. The last time being at Radio City in June of 2008. So, I mean, come on, 15 years, guys. I'm going to 8 shows. Can we hear it once?
Yeah, because you know that the Cure are gonna listen. They're all of them are gonna watch this.
Honestly, if they are, I don't know if they would have stuck around for an hour and 20.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, I love us and I love them, and I would be grateful for them to watch this video, but you know, I'm not gonna count on it. What is going on 52? I'm ancient too, Ben. Oh, I'm 52. 52. Andy's like, what, you're 25 or something? 30?
34, but
Oh, you are? You're old now.
I know. I've been into the band since I was 16, 15. 2003, Trilogy was coming out on DVD. The self-titled album was coming out the following year. Not Coachella, Curiosa, you know, that was my starting to get into it all.
Andy, somebody's asking about pre-show meetups. So,
okay.
So again, here's Madison Square Garden, everybody, for just anyone. Arusha says, stay south. But I'm gonna meet again tomorrow. So anybody, if I might have the bandwidth, if maybe you can like put questions on this YouTube channel, that would be great. But let's talk about, well, there's 2 things. One, has MSG ever had a pit? Yes, that's what I'm saying is that Radiohead, I've been told, has a pit when they play MSG. So what happens is people line up for like 6 days around MSG, which is absolutely bonkers for Radiohead, even though I feel like Radiohead broke up or something. But I think people are really getting back into guitar music. Eden will probably watch later. I hope Eden watches later, and I hope people are getting back into guitar music. But let's talk about pre-parties and post-parties.
So New York's pre-party is being arranged by 2 fans, Angel and Leanie, and their pre-party is only 7 minutes walking distance from Madison Square Garden, so it's definitely an optimal location. I believe you're the one that suggested it, the Chelsea Bell. You know, they've been really great. Obviously, more of the details are going to be through Angel and Leanie, but we have pre-show meetups where it's all ages from about 4 to 6, so it gives people time to get to the venue. And then after-hour meetups is going to be 21 and up. I'm going to be contributing in the sense of giveaways. I'm going to have some DVDs that I'm going to make myself. They're not for purchase or anything, but it's of the the Teenage Trust Cancer Trust 2014 performance, and a multicam fan shot of the 2022 Wembley shows that I got permission to distribute. I'll also have some T-shirts that I'm making that I'll raffle off, or I think they want to do trivia, not raffle at that event. But yeah, and then I have some secrets up my sleeve that I don't want to give away yet, but I'm sure that anybody that attends, I want them to be happy with it, and I just want to give back, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I want to add to that too. Angel will be on with me tomorrow, so she can talk more about the pre-fan meetups in New York. And then Andy, I do want you to blast your pre-fan meetups in other places in a minute. But so the pre-fan, the meetups in New York. So Angel used to live here. She lives in Maine now, but she's heavy into the scene here. And she got this guy, Frankie Teardrop, to DJ, who's fucking awesome. So I would also encourage any people who are like worn out and scared. Am I gonna get tickets? I don't know. Like, try to plan to go to the New York meetups, because who knows, somebody might have an extra ticket. And I swear to you, like last time in 2016, I did the same thing. I'm like, I'm not even gonna trip until the last minute. And I went filming, and then somebody's like, I have a ticket. Here's your ticket. And I was like, okay. And I decided that I would go.
Same thing happened to me in 2008. I didn't have tickets to the K-Rock Almost Acoustic Christmas. Bless you. The night before the show, I got a ticket for $100, and I was in there. It was nice.
Yeah. So we'll include, again, I'll try to include like the links to the pre-parties for New York. But Andy, why don't you talk about the other parties that you're organizing in other places?
I am organizing pre-show parties for San Francisco, which is really Mountain View, that the band's announcing that it's San Francisco. I would say it's closer to San Jose, but hey, that's on them. Hollywood, and I'm happy to say that right before we started this, I got a call from San Diego, and they have confirmed to work with me. So I'm doing meetups for all of California. I'm really happy about that. We're going to start off in Chula Vista. Well, they're calling it San Diego. Again, it's all tomato. There's a place called Shake and Muddle. I think I'm hoping getting this right. It looks really nice. I'm going to get a flyer out there later today. I've already confirmed all 3 Hollywood Bowl nights is going to be at the Hard Rock Cafe in Hollywood. And then I got this bar called the Sports Page Bar and Grill. It's not too far from the venue, Shoreline Amphitheater, up in Mountain View, California. And I'll be doing the same giveaways and raffles and everything. I just really want everybody to have a great time. And you know what? Even if you're not going to the shows, come by if you have the time, hang out, listen to the music, get some free stuff, enjoy yourselves. And you never know, you might end up finding somebody that has a ticket.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, especially, I still am a pit person, but after a while you realize that, like, again, like the experience of following The Cure and going to multiple shows is, it starts, the epicenter is the music, right? And then it's the concert, and it's the band, and it's your personal stories, and then it's the community. So after a while, it's like, well, this is cool. I mean, like, let's say you can't get in until the absolute last second, or maybe you're going to Hollywood and you can't get into one of the shows. Something good could come out of it from other Cure fans. Right. And there are ding-dongs out there, and we all don't get along. It's like there's no fandom, there's no group of anybody that all gets along perfectly. It just doesn't exist.
I'm glad you mentioned maybe you don't have tickets to the show, because I did not have tickets. I didn't get chosen for my hometown shows. The only reason I'm going to Hollywood Bowl is because some friends of mine bought extras. And then just last night, you saw that I scored 1 ticket for the last day. But that wasn't going to discourage me. I still wanted to go. And speaking of people that want to line up, be in the pit or whatnot, I totally respect that if you can't make it. I am trying to be nice or courteous in the sense that my parties are from 4 to 6. My raffle will be at 5. So if you want to leave right after the raffle and get going, I totally understand that.
Cool. Does anybody, Andy, do you have, somebody says, Suzette DeGrange, Andy, she says, you sound like a great Cure fan.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'd like to be the embodiment of what a Cure fan means. It all, like you said, it's all the music, but it's all about the community and making me feel like we're a sense of family. I would never have known you, Arusha, if it wasn't for this love that we have and passion for music.
Totally. And it's it's so much better than, being with people live and just putting that work in. If you are able, if you're financially able and all those things, like, you may not be financially able or physically able to go to a concert. And thankfully we do have the online community for that. I personally find there's a lot of negativity in that. So I want to do more of these things where I'm actually talking. That's why I like to do this, because I like to go out and talk to people in real life. So even if you cannot be there, there's the tone of voice, there's the human interaction, and you can say, oh, that's Andy the Cure fan. You know, that's him right there with his kid and his Elvis Costello glasses, and he's making all these plans for everybody. Like, that's cool.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. So, do you have any more questions about New York specifically?
No, I'm good. This is gonna be my third time, but I'm excited because it's gonna be the first time that I'm gonna be there. What feels like the whole week. I'm flying in on Monday, leaving Friday. Every time I felt like it was like a rush, quick turnaround. So I'm excited to be there. I might have some stuff that I got to do in my hotel for work, which is kind of going to put a damper in my plans. But hey, got to work hard to play hard.
Yeah. Does anybody on the thread have any more questions about New York before we cut off? I think I'm going to have to talk about restaurants and some more sites tomorrow. I will say that Ray's Pizza and Two Boots Pizza, like if you're on the go and you're like, I'm hungry, I'm so tired, I can't even see
This is
straight.
not a paid endorsement.
They're not sponsoring me. They're cheap and they're good. And the thing about pizza in New York is there's 5 billion, gazillion, achillion places, but a lot of them are shitty. I wouldn't buy any pretzels off of the carts. They're often stale and cold. So, you know, as far as, yeah, I'll have to get into restaurants and stuff tomorrow. But I think this has been great, Andy. And unless anybody else says anything, we're going to call it.
Yep. An hour and a half in. That was good. Thank you. See you guys at the shows. Hopefully you guys can make it in or see you at the pre-parties. Thanks.
Bye. Be kind
Bye.
while you still can.
That's true. Why not?
I'm going to make this linger because YouTube cuts it
Oh,
off.
yeah. YouTube cuts it off, right? Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Arusha, for having me. I got other things to attend to, but I'll talk to you later.
Okay.